don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hello there. The Cabinet of Curiosities, The Outside. Okay, now this one, it isn't as good. It's one of its weakest ones, mainly because the characters, I like the husband. The husband was a good character. I didn't care for the gaggle of girls. I didn't care for the lead actress. They had nothing really relatable to them, and it was just, the shots were well done. They were very uncomfortable, and it worked to make you feel uncomfortable. But in all honesty, it just didn't feel like a good story where the TV is telling her to do things, she's hallucinating because she's having an allergic reaction to something, and it just seemed a little off. It didn't feel like, in the beginning I was thinking, okay, this is actually pretty good. This is pretty good. It felt like it was going to be pretty good. Mainly because well, it had Dan Stevens in it, and I'm an absolute fan of Dan Stevens. But it was the sounds, like when Guillermo del Toro is explaining it, he's talking about the sounds you hear when watching TV. And that's happened to me a few times, where you're watching something and there's a sound which doesn't seem like it's coming from the TV, and it's coming from elsewhere, but it's just the way it's done in it just. So I'm like, you get confused, you pause the screen, you're trying to figure out where's the sound from, and then you hit the play again, and then it continues. So I was thinking it was going to go along that route. But no, Dan Stevens is selling this lotion and is on the TV basically talking to her, telling her to do this, do this, do this. And it just didn't work. I mean, they made lotion, the sound of it, the Foley and the cinematography was well done. It made you feel uncomfortable. So in that regard, it worked. But the story itself wasn't there. I felt uncomfortable with lotion, generally because I feel uncomfortable with lotion to begin with. I probably use it 3 times a year, and that's only when my hands start splitting, like splitting at the fingertips. That's the only time I ever use it. Other than that, there's no need for it. I mean, yeah, why? Oh my gosh. But yeah, Dan Stevens, I also had issue with his character because I couldn't tell his acting. He was acting to the camera because he's basically doing a late night sales, and it's for the lotion that she's allergic to. And I couldn't place his accent because it sounded European and then it sounded Southern. So it kept like flip-flopping, and then which is funny because Dan Stevens is an English actor. So you would think he'd be able to do a European accent, and then it flipped to a Southern accent. I think maybe he was doing trying to do a French accent, and somehow the accents melded together that he's done over the years. But also, he probably didn't see it as that important of a role because he was just talking to a camera the whole time. And they probably had him for, a day to do that role? They probably got him just like, we'll pay you this much, you have these lines to read. And try to do an accent, and then he probably just flipped it halfway through. But oh my gosh, I didn't care for it. I felt like I was wasting an entire hour on this episode. I really do hope they get better, but I feel like it peaked at the last episode, the autopsy. That was an amazing episode. And the one before that was just creepy, and the one before that is just pretty good. So yeah, this one, just unrelatable characters. Dan Stevens, who I was most excited about, kind of dropped the ball on his role, but I don't really blame it on him. It's just the story itself was weak, and there's no way my passion for this actor really could have brought it back. So skip this episode, of course. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you next time. Toodles.